Okay, welcome, fellow human beings, to the Spark, the Climb, the Ascendancy. In today's business landscape, there's a growing desire for leadership that transcends the bottom line. A leadership style fueled by purpose, grounded in something deeper than the next quarterly report. But what exactly does that deeper something look like? Here at the Spark, the Climb, the Ascendancy, we believe the answer lies not in one definite path, but in a vibrant exploration of different perspectives. We delve into the profound questions of metaphysics and ontology, the very nature of reality and being, from a variety of viewpoints. We embrace respectful dialogue, recognizing that understanding the essence of existence can illuminate unique paths to conscious leadership. So join us as we unpack timeless principles, translate them into practical strategies, and explore how a deeper understanding of being can ignite your spark and guide you on your climb to leadership ascendancy. Here, we value a space where all voices are valued, and together we can illuminate a brighter future for leadership in the business world. And today, on our first episode, I have the honor of welcoming one of the most incredible human beings that I know. She has become a very close friend of mine, so a trusted advisor for me and my life and the work that I do. She is an incredible inspiration. She is a multitude of different talents, and I'm going to let her share all the intricacies of who she is, what she does, the expertise that she brings to the space. She is the CEO and founder of The Shift Within. So please help me welcome Michelle.
Yes, thank you.
You are so welcome.
I'm excited to be here.
I am excited to have you here. This has been I think this podcast itself has been a passionate project of mine for so long, of just how do you bring a different voice to leadership, to the business world, to bring in the metaphysical and ontology of who we are at the core of our being, because I don't think they're inseparable. And how do we start to bridge that and bring that together in the life that, all of our experiences, I think, interchange and bridge and make us into who we are, and you don't get to
absolutely
interchange that. So how did you get to The Shift Within?
Oh boy, where do I start? First of all, congratulations to you. This is so exciting. I know this is something you wanted to do for a while now. So I'm excited for you.
I'm so honored that you were my first guest, because I'm like, okay, who do I want to have on? But I want people that inspire me to move into, I think, my climb in this world where, what am I here to do? How am I a vessel of good for the world? Like, that's really what I see, is just, I want to create this space of open dialogue where people can share, can explore, and we can respect our differences.
Right. And it's exciting to meet the people that I've met that are on that same path and in that same kind of mindset, where you can have a deep conversation that can go any direction, who knows where we're going to end up. But
that's the beauty. We actually don't know either. So join us for the ride.
This is an adventure.
Yes, it is. So tell us how you kind of got to the, your journey. What got you to this moment right now in the business you run and what you feel called to do?
Okay. Well, there are so many ways I could start this conversation, and I'm going to abbreviate quite a bit of it. But, just going through a lot of trauma as a child, mostly. We moved a lot growing up. I did not have a stable home life, let's say that. And one way to kind of put that in perspective is I did go to 18 schools before I graduated from high school. And so when you think about it, from 51-year-old me thinking about 10, 11, 13, 14-year-old me, at the time, I just didn't know any different. I had no idea that, the life I was experiencing was very different from, what maybe I hate to say most, but a lot of families experience, even in the throes of divorce and things like that. It's not often that you have that kind of uprooting on a regular basis. And so, kind of living through that experience, I think I learned a lot of things. I think I did not learn a lot of things. And one of the things that I learned was I'm going to start with what I didn't learn. I never learned how to be the real me anywhere I was. Just going into a new school, as a fifth grader, as an eighth grader, I was in a different school my senior year of high school. You just never get that comfort level with people to where you feel safe to actually be who I am. And to kind of take that a step further, I had a dad who, he was emotionally, verbally abusive. He, told me in no uncertain terms throughout my life that I would never amount to anything. And, one specific example, he was a physical therapist, very successful. And that's what I wanted to do. I always wanted to be a physical therapist. And I remember being in the car with him when I was 17, and I told him that. And I had taken, I don't know if you remember, they do those tests in high school where it's like your aptitude, what interests you, things like that. And physical therapist was the very first thing. And I was so excited to tell him that, just because it was something that I was interested in. Any form of helping people, that's coming later. And he said to me, you'll never get into physical therapy school. And even if you did, I would never hire you. And so coming from, a life of upheaval, a dad who, and let me just go on to say, I have a degree in psychology thanks to my dad, who I was just trying to figure out,
Yeah. You're like, okay, if I can't beat you, I have to now join you in the sense of understanding who you are.
Exactly. And so that's kind of a little bit of background. Very unstable. I went through a period of pretty dire, I don't know if you would call it acting out or just coping, my late teen years, early 20s. And found myself in some pretty scary situations, and ended up back in Utah when I was 23. And just no real plan for life, no nothing. I meet this guy. I don't even know what happened, but we dated for 5 weeks and decided we were going to get married. And that kind of starts, in my mind, that kind of starts my life. My kind of tapping into who I actually am. I had this person who saw something in me. I'm sorry.
I love this. We're holding all this space for all the emotions because, as you're talking, we forget how formative the years, I think we go through the motions. And one thing I think I brought up kind of in just my reframing of why I want to have this conversation is how do you really break those societal norms?
Yes.
Like where we're so conditioned and we don't, there's so much more. And the conditioning that we're being conditioned into isn't that of, I think, the metaphysical principles and the truth of like why we're here. It's done in a way to keep control or keep us in fear.
Absolutely.
Or keep the ego riding over. So like you have all this, we all do, not just you, we all have conditioning and patterning that we're then, as quite honestly adults, in this phase of unlearning.
Yes.
It's like the great unlearning
Absolutely.
is what I see my adulthood
Absolutely.
as, is like, okay, what I thought I knew, I don't know.
Yes. Or what I
And-
thought I needed to be, I don't need to be, you know, and I think a lot of that conditioning, and one of my favorite books is The Four Agreements. And
Mhm.
some of that conditioning is just straight approval seeking. You
Yep.
know, I want my dad to like me. I want my mom to see me. I want the approval of the people around me. And that is where I think we get into trouble with the mask that we put on, and, you know, not feeling safe to be our true authentic selves. And it is a process to unlearn all of that behavior.
Yeah, it's I think back to when was I the most unlayered and the most free as a child. And it was I was a small child, probably 5, 6 years old.
Yeah.
You guys can't see me. I'm not on video this time, but I have red hair. So I had the cutest nickname of like Wild Child when I
Yeah.
was little. And it was so fitting now that I look back. And it's like, how do I embrace that free? If somebody said no, I said yes. If they told me to go slower on the 3-wheeler at the ranch in Wyoming, I was like, how much faster can I drive it?
Yes.
I'm going to wreck it. Because I was like, you're not going to tell me no, because I know. And I think remembering that divinity of who we are, like we are these divine, magical, mystical, amazing creatures. And it's like we contract in to remember that.
Right.
And we have to go through all these things that we don't know why they're happening to us.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, it's this amazing unveiling
Yes.
of who we are as human beings.
Yes.
Like as we delayer and remember that part of us that somehow either got lost or set aside
Yes.
or detached because we were trying to conform or fit in, when really the only approval we're ever really here for, that I've now learned, is really mine.
Yes.
And that of source or
Yes.
God, or however you identify with that higher power that we're all an emanation and we're all a part of.
Right.
There is no separateness.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I'm still in the process daily of remembering who I am.
Absolutely.
But it's people like you in my life that are a part of that remembrance, of helping
Yes.
me remember, of helping me step into the authentic, true, powerful being that I am, because we are so layered up. We're so afraid. You know, when you were speaking earlier, it just really hit home for me of like how layered up and veiled we become, and how we don't want to authentically step into just the weird, magical freaks that we are as human beings.
True.
And we
That
don't
is true.
want to embrace that, because it's like, what if will this person think?
Yes.
And we learn that as a very young age as children.
Yeah.
You were describing it. It was like, okay, how do I conform and just fit in and make everybody like the Michelle that's new here for this year before
Right.
we move on to the next year.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how we never just ever step into how magical we are, because we're looking for other people's approval.
Yes.
When I'm starting to realize the only person that I need to approve or really show up for
Is me.
is you.
Yeah.
And you are God.
Yes.
So that's who you're showing up for. They're saying, I put you here for this powerful purpose.
Yes.
And, you know, that shift within is that powerful
Yeah.
purpose of like why you got dropped in here.
Yes.
You know, and all the weird meandering that we go through, good, bad, right, wrong, whatever that is, you know, is all for us to step into this remembrance of who
Right.
we are. And
Right.
it's it's a process I don't think ends until the day we decide we're not needed on this
I agree.
earthly plane anymore.
I agree.
So I would say I'm a lifelong learner or student of really myself.
Yes.
And when things spark my interests or call me, it's like, oh, I wonder why that is. Because
Yeah.
there's some remembering of I need to call that into me.
Yeah.
Because it was designed for me to learn from.
Yes. Yeah, I like that perspective.
So
I like that perspective.
yeah, for all those that have not met Michelle yet, which you will through this whole thing, is she is one magical, powerful lady.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we're on a beautiful, I think, journey together, I think,
Yes.
of remembering that and stepping into that. Because there's so much, I think, that goes on, whether it's, societal conditioning, the way we're raised, our government, religious institutions that want to disconnect us
Yes.
from that divinity
Yes.
of like how magical as AFs we are.
Well,
Like
we're not as controllable when we understand our own power.
exactly.
And
so
that's not convenient.
that is
in
an inconvenient
many
truth.
realms. In many realms
Yep.
in the world that we live in.
Absolutely. Whether you're talking about even in business and
Yeah.
who we are and the way we get to show up at work, like, I want to transform the space of workplace where people can be their magical,
Yes.
mystical, amazing beings. Because what would your business do if you unleashed the potential of your employees?
Yes.
It would be scary what you would
It's-
actually accomplish.
It's maybe even unthinkable. I mean, I don't know that we can truly imagine what power would, we could unleash.
I know. I always think of like, I talk a lot about this. I'm always like, I love, but there's reasons why I think things resonate with us that seem very mystical or,
Yeah.
it's like Harry Potter and that whole realm. Like we all are Harry Potters. We're all wizards in our own way with different powers and different
Yeah. Yeah.
ways that we move through the world, because you would need differences if you only needed one thing here.
Yeah.
So I think, what if you unleashed the Hogwarts and the magic
Right.
within all of us? What would that do
Right.
to our society? I mean, there would be no controlling anything
No.
or anyone.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You're right.
So just one of my many thoughts I have on the daily basis.
I love
of
it.
like, how do you unleash that? But I think, when I think of like the shift within and the work you do, there's something that's calling you to that
Oh, yeah.
and how you serve it,
Yes.
how your soul is in service of the greater
Yeah.
whole.
Yeah. And I think coming from that perspective of always wanting to help people, I don't think I recognized that in myself for a long time, for a very long time. Getting married, having children, that part of your life is such just a blur sometimes. It goes by so fast. You're so just busy and you have opportunities to help people in, church or in your family or in society. But it feels different. I don't know what word I want to use right there.
No, I like there is a difference, because as I was listening to you speak about, I think sometimes as moms especially, and not to discount dads in this conversation, but we're just two women.
Yeah.
So, but I think sometimes you also forget what a big role that is too.
Yeah.
In forming
Well,
human beings
and
to
I
go into
think-
the world and do good things.
Yes. And I think, they become your priority, and in some aspects, you just lose yourself and you forget, your divinity because you are, focused on these children that you have been charged to care for and, to keep them alive and to make them, hopefully teach them to be decent people, that's a huge, that's a huge job. And I do think it's more common than we think it is that we have this kind of, reawakening. I don't know what word I want to use, but when your children are at an age where you can comfortably kind of let go and say, okay, I've done my job. But then there's a moment of like, well, now what? Okay, my youngest is a sophomore in high school. She can drive herself to school. She can drive herself to gymnastics. And then that shift, I think, can come back to you and kind of, okay, what is my purpose now? What is my purpose really? And that definitely was a moment that I encountered.
Yeah, you hit on something I think so important that I think when you become a parent, you don't realize is like, and I remember thinking about this even in my own journey of being a parent, is how do you, like, their whole and complete soul. So you're like this guide and this guardian
Yes.
of that, kind of shepherding them on this earthly plane. But to know that they have all the resources within themselves, like I remember that shift, and you, as well as I think losing myself, like it was very easy for me, I think, to disassociate from my
Yes.
divinity and my soul, and I think kind of set myself aside to like be all encompassing of their worlds, but forget, okay, who is Erin?
Yes.
Why is Erin here?
Yeah.
What is Erin here to do and serve? And mom is just one of the many
Yes.
emanations or
Mom,
roles.
wife, daughter, sister, all of the identities that we take on, that aren't necessarily tapped into the essence of who we are.
Mm-hmm. The highest self of
Yes.
why we're here. And I do believe that they're roles to help us grow. Like when I think of like being a mom, and I'm sure you could probably attest to this, is like they're probably two of my greatest teachers.
Oh, absolutely.
When I come to, okay, how has my soul grown and evolved? Because they are such an intense reflection of, I think, either myself
Yeah.
or my ex-husband. And really having to see them as a whole and complete person, and to love and create space for them to fall down. I think we come into as parents and never want them to hurt.
Yep.
And go through the things that we've gone through. And they don't understand that because they're not parents yet.
Right.
We don't get it.
Right.
But that you forget, like, there's such a shepherding there that it's like, I never want you to feel that pain, but they also contracted into this world.
Yes.
And all the things that they are supposed to go through.
Yes.
To teach and grow and learn.
We can do everything we can to protect, to prevent, to, like you said, to shepherd. And it's impossible.
Mm-hmm.
There is no way there's no way to spare anyone the highs and lows of being on this planet and being a human. It's part of life. And I think one of the keys is to understand that, and take the good with the bad and allow things to play out the way they are supposed to play out, because that's where, we have the experiences I think we're intended to have. And I don't know how much foreshadowing I believe in. That's more your realm.
I'm like, I think there's not one coincidence like that's ever going on. But when
I do see that.
But it's like, I will never forget hearing this as I've been on just my journey of, I think, unlearning myself. And it was a talk I was listening to, and it was Marianne Williams, and she was talking about how perfectly organized the human body is. So like when the sperm meets the egg, how it just divinely knows with natural intelligence how to, you're going to go to the heart, and you're going to make the heart cells. Yeah. And then you're going to go to the brain, and you're going to make the cells that make the brain.
It's a miracle.
It's a miracle.
And it's not an accident. There's no way. I believe that it is coincidence that these events happen the way they do to create life on this planet.
It's like amazing. When you think about
Yeah.
it, it's like otherworld.
Yes. Even down to, I mean, not just people, everything, every aspect of the earth we live on, in the universe that we are a part of. Yeah. It is, it's always been very evident to me that there is a source, a creator of the universe,
Yeah.
without question.
It's too divinely organized. And she said, you know, like if there's such a natural intelligence to making a baby or making a tree
Yeah.
or making a flower, whatever it is, like it's all got consciousness, it's all got life force energy behind it. Why would we think that that is not then working in our
Yeah.
lives? You're meant to meet her, you're meant to meet
Yes.
her, you're
Yeah.
meant to do this. Like if I look at my life, there's not one person I look at
Oh, yeah.
and go, why? You may not have liked them per se,
Right.
but they were there as a guidepost to reflect something
Yes.
to you.
Yes.
And some of the people I can look back in my life and, you know, I are some of my greatest teachers.
Oh, yeah.
People that I'm like, okay, now why did we cross paths? But
Right.
they actually elevated my consciousness and woke me up to parts of me that I think were asleep or unconscious.
Yes.
To activate the whole of Aaron, not in a
Right.
bad way, but it has taken me a long time to see the good in all.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Well, and I kind of need to back up a little bit. It's the foreshadowing that I think I was more referencing was, I don't know, certain experiences, you know, that I don't know that I signed up for some of the things that I went through, and maybe I did. So I don't know. I'm not on the fence, but I have kind of a conflicted viewpoint on that because I absolutely believe that the people that we encounter are in our lives for a reason. That is without question to me. I believe that 100%. I guess I don't know if I'm talking more about experiences or
I get what you're saying. I think if we knew what it's like, why do we have amnesia when we birth into
Yeah.
this world? Like as a baby, why do we not know anything?
Yeah.
Of, you know, I believe that we've lived on this earth many times over and
Right.
over and over and over. And I think time is, obviously, as Einstein said, is an illusion of our consciousness. It's, you know, it's all happening all at once,
Right.
truly. So if you think everything is stacked, is occurring right in this present
Right.
moment, and that's the only moment that we have,
Yeah.
which is kind of a mind. I mean, you can't really get your brain
Right, yeah.
around that. I can feel that in my soul.
Right.
But I think I don't think any of us would sign up. I don't think we consciously sign up for what we sign up
Right.
for.
Or I guess my perspective is more about, is every detail of my life mapped out in advance? You know, is every encounter that I have, is every experience that I have planned?
I think that's such a profound question, and I think there's an element of yes and no.
Yes, that's
we
where.
have, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's like
I am struggling to find the words to explain how I'm feeling about this. You know, do I believe that? Yeah.
I think it's a good question because
You're better at voicing these thoughts.
Well, I think it is a yes and no because I think the other thing that we are given that we have is free will.
Yes.
So we're always in choice.
Right.
There is no divine power over us that's like,
Yeah.
okay, you have to move in this way. And if you don't,
That's a great
like
point.
that we are in choice. So what that brings up for me is, do we get to two of the energies I'm really playing with right now are acceptance, like complete true acceptance.
Yep.
And then trust.
Yeah.
Where I can just act neutrally and not assign to that.
Yes.
I think based on what you just described, I think is a quandary I'm you amazing through in the present moment
Right.
of like how to just be in trust and not over assign like who is this person, what do they mean to me, should I do this with them, should I
Right.
work with them, should I date them, should I do this, who are they, what, and that's my ego trying to attach and assign
Right.
some meaning and not just go, let me just allow,
Let me just be
and just be in this moment,
observe and experience.
Exactly, because when I'm in that, I'm not living.
Yes.
I'm not living in the moment and experiencing what the moment has to offer me.
Right.
Because I'm too distracted with my ego that's probably trying to keep me safe.
Well,
which is
what is it? The predictable past and tell me.
Oh, why can't I think of? I know exactly.
I know
what you're
you know.
Referencing, and
I know you know.
But it's like it becomes a repeat. Like you basically are like, why do I keep repeating this? Because you're not allowing.
Exactly.
There's no allowance.
Right.
I want to control, and control is based out of fear, and control is our ego wanting. It's like, what if I really trusted and let go?
Yeah.
What if I really trusted and I look at my life and think, okay, even in the worst moments that I've had, and I've been very blessed because has something been so bad that I couldn't make it to the other side of it. And I can't think of one example that it was so bad that I didn't get on the other side of it because of the grace of God, because of faith and in a higher power, surrendering.
And faith in the future. And, that is one thing that I always feel like I have had a gift with is being able to understand, I've just always had, and there have been some doozies, man. I have had some experiences that are just like, seriously? But there's never been a time in my life, and I'm really grateful for this, where I didn't think it was going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a very subconscious feeling as well. It's not like in those moments you're just like, la-di-da, it's gonna be fine. But there's always been just a deep rooted feeling and sense that it's going to be okay. Mm-hmm. Whatever happens, whatever choice you make, whatever, it's going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't
that like for me, that was a profound thought, because I think of like kind of what's out in the space in the world now and how much are what we are, I guess, marketed to as human beings, whether that's through social media, whatever, really predicated on a space of lack.
Yes.
But it's like when I heard this thing and it was like, okay, like if you sat there and thought of the worst case scenario, like what's the worst thing? It's like, there's nothing that's like the worst. Like, why am I ever in fear? Like, why are we in this space of lack and deficit? And it's like, we're infinite, powerful.
Well, and how much energy is wasted considering, but what if this, or but what if this? And 99% of those things are never going to happen. And that is energy that we can use somewhere else to learn and to grow and to help and to serve, instead of in that place where, there's just no value in that mindset.
No, like there's no, and it's amazing the expenditure of energy that we have kind of across that. And so that was really, I was like, wow, what if I didn't, okay.
Yeah.
I don't need to even worry about that.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Like I am worried about stuff that really in the grand scheme of my life will have little to no impact.
Yeah.
And it's all for my highest good and growth.
Yeah. Right.
So at the end of the day, am I going to leave the situation a better human being, a better person, a more enlightened version of myself. And if I can answer yes, then good is coming out of that.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
And that's not to negate, like, I think the other thing we like to do is override, like, oh, I know, and you're supposed to be all spiritual and just
Right.
go, well, guess what? I'm a human being
Yeah.
first.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I don't get to bypass or negate.
The human emotions, I mean, you're right.
Override.
Yeah.
I should know better. I mean, I think I was caught in that trap for a long time as I've been on my just growth and journey. I don't like to call it I think my own awakening or my remembering. And it's like, well, you should know better. Well, I'm still a human
Yeah.
being.
Yeah.
That's still my lesson.
Yes.
Embrace and love that part of you
Yeah.
that's still learning.
I love that perspective because I think, one of the problems of the human condition is how incredibly hard we can be on ourselves.
Mhm.
And, just making those judgments about yourself can be worse than anyone else telling you you're a terrible person, because it's coming from self at that point. And at that moment, I don't know. We do have to allow ourselves, the love to just, I don't know.
Just to be, I
Yeah.
think of that complete self-acceptance. When I think of like what's the highest vibrational form we can
Right.
be in is being 100% authentically. I mean,
Yeah.
so authentic of who we are,
Right.
of every weird, magical aspect of ourselves, and just
Yeah.
loving that. Loving that
Yes.
so unconditionally. That's like, hey, that is freaking cool.
Right. Yeah.
Like, embrace that part of you. Like,
Definitely.
don't try to hide it because it's like, what'll everybody else think of
Right.
it? And I've done that a lot where it's like, oh, I'll hide that I am a shaman.
Yeah.
I will hide that I do this. And it's
Right.
like, why am I covering that up? That's who I am.
Yeah.
That's at the core of the source of the energy that I am in this earth.
And I think, going back a little bit to your original question is, I got here through a lot of work and a lot of self-reflection and a lot of pain and a lot of joy and a lot of everything. And being able to help other people get to a place where they can kind of step outside of themselves and look and recognize, these things that we're talking about, where just there's so much love and available to everyone, and I feel like we cheat ourselves. We feel small. We feel, not enough, in whatever way. And, being able to help someone see their own power and see their divinity and see special things that are unique to them, that they offer to the world is really that is my ultimate vision, is
Love that.
just, I believe, everyone has the power to shift. And, and I was thinking of a name for
I love
this
that. Where did
coaching
you-
business. I
I'm
don't
like,
even
now keep
know.
going. I'm like, I love the word shift. So I'm like, okay.
I love it. Well, it just felt like it kept coming up. In my conversations, in my own dialogue with myself. I'm, just finishing a coaching course that is based in functional medicine. And it feels like what I like about the word shift is that it indicates something so small.
Mhm.
It's not a swerve. It's not a U-turn. It's not a freaking, blast off to the moon. A shift is like small.
Mhm.
And if we can make these small shifts, and it's incredible the way your perspective changes, it's incredible the power that you can find in yourself. It's incredible the value you can see in yourself and other people, and it's not a big deal. It's just not. It's a tiny little, micro action that can build and then change. And, everything that I have strived for or wanted or, none of it's going to come from outside of me.
Mm-hmm.
None of it. And so, the shift within those are just it's these little tiny changes we make, little tiny adjustments, and it happens inside of us. And I truly believe that anything is possible.
Well, you bring up such like a point that I don't think I've heard in the coaching space is it's the small things and it's the finding out within you.
Yes.
Like
Yep.
we all want to, and I was having this conversation last night, and it's amazing how we're wired as human beings to go external.
Yes.
We want to go outside of us to find the answer. Some other person holds the answer versus, okay, my interaction with you right now, am I learning? 1000%.
Yeah.
But that's because it's activating what's true within me
Yes.
to help me remember.
Yes.
Like what you just said, was it like, you know it and I don't? It's a remembering.
Yes.
By you saying that, it's an activation of like,
Oh,
oh
yeah.
oh yeah, oh
Right.
yeah, okay, yeah. That's how I've grown as a human being, like by small little tweaks.
Yes.
And not because I went through some profound big thing,
Right.
but it was about all the small
The little things. And that's probably, it's been the most challenging thing that I have learned in the last year in this program. I have been in fitness for 20 years. I have been a full-time coach for 8 years, and I am really good at telling people what to do. I excel at telling people what to do and when to do it. And
She's great at it.
how
folks.
slow to do it and how fast to, it's like, that is something that I am very good at. And that was honestly the biggest challenge, going from being the expert to being the coach. And that perspective of you already know what you need. There is a part of you that knows exactly what you need to heal, to feel better, to be happy, to change your life. You know what you need. It's the guidance from someone who knows how to ask the right questions to find that it's all intrinsic. And again, you're talking about if you're looking outside of yourself for the answers, you can try this, you can try that. And trust me, there are going to be a million people out there that want to give you the answer and probably try to sell it to you.
Yep.
And you can try that, and it might resonate with you, and it might work for a while, and things might work, and that's great. But the real, value, there's a word.
Well, the connection.
Yes,
comes-
it just comes from you. And when we tap into that is when the power to change whatever part of your life you want to change, that is when that becomes available. Truly available.
1000%. Like, and there's so many reasons why I love you beyond. We could probably talk for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. We are like,
I think we have.
okay, good.
Not today.
Well, I hope so. Well, we
Not
do.
today, but we.
but I think you hit on I think the revolution of where we need to go in the coaching industry.
Yes.
Where we as coaches need to serve, as a coach. And I think, I learned this really in my shamanic training, and I'm really just learning this, how to show up as being kind of this hollow bone. Like, I am just a vessel. Like,
Yeah.
I am here to just hold space as
Yeah.
one emanation of God, source divine,
Right.
to activate within that other person that which is the natural intelligence within themselves.
Yes.
You hold the power.
Yeah.
The real magic is working with
Let
people.
me help you facilitate. It's almost being a facilitator.
Yeah,
you
you're
know?
an activator
Yeah.
of it. I
Yeah.
just hold enough space for you to find that within you because that's where to your point, the real magic happens.
Yes. Yep.
If you can help me find that one micro shift in myself to do this one little thing, it becomes that plug and play, or we bring, our beautiful, insanely crazy, highly intelligent nervous system online.
Yes.
Of remembering, oh, this is how this is supposed to go.
Right.
And we're not numbing or just doing all these external things that have turned us off.
Looking for something that we already have.
Yeah. It's all within you. So Michelle is probably one of the most powerful human beings, and I
Thank you.
Only run in circles of very powerful human beings.
As do I.
Because I, like attracts like, and how do you activate? And I think there's more of us coming online. So how do we, create that community and that sphere to finding that self? Because the whole point is for all of us to activate.
Yes.
The point isn't for a select few of us.
Right.
The whole point is we need all of us.
It's a collective effort. Humanity.
Yep.
Humanity.
Remember, and we're all coming online at different times and in different ways. And so I think also suspending that judgment.
Yeah.
Like nobody knows any more than any one of us at any given time. It's just how tapped in are you to receiving that natural intelligence that we were divinely put on this earth with.
Yeah.
Like it's there.
It's just us.
We have to unlayer and remember it, because when you start to remember it, it's so powerful.
It is. Some of the just experiences I've had. It's honestly, in some ways I know it's real, but sometimes, you just have these thoughts where it's like, is this real? Did this really happen? Did I really just, like the experience I told you about last week with just some feelings I've been having, and slowing down, doing a meditation, cleansing my space. And I got some pretty direct messages from, I'm going to call it the universe, from my angels, because I know without a doubt that I have spirits, I have source really watching over me. And
I know that firsthand on the multitude of other levels that we will not get into on this episode, but probably for a future one. But you're right.
Yeah.
You, as all of us, we are so guided, and we have forces beyond what we can even imagine that are surrounding us.
Yes. And I think everyone is entitled to that same guidance and protection. There is no exclusion. There is no one is excluded from the ability.
There's no club
to be this.
There's no like, hey, I got my card to the club of spirituality or whatever you want to call it.
It is universal, because we are the same beings, we are everyone. We all have this potential. And really having some of the experiences I have that have caused me to have to kind of look inside. And, when you're up against a choice of like, do I stay in this place where I feel like I'm going crazy and I'm trying to control everything around me, and gosh dang it, why is this not, and choosing a different way to kind of figure out how to use your the things that you've already been given to create a better life, then I don't know. It is something that I believe everyone has the power to do.
Well, and I would just tell you, thank you for listening. Thank you for
Yeah.
tapping in. Like you have it,
Yes.
and
And you
we
have it.
and we just have to listen. And it's funny how we can forget because, like, I got down this path, and I was talking to another magical soul, and they reminded me of like, oh, I'm doing that thing.
Yeah.
I know not that I shouldn't be doing, but it's like, oh yeah, I'm going external to myself again
Yes.
versus that
Yeah.
listening. And again, that running of that energy of trust. It's like the most profound, like when I do it, and I'll even just call it in, I'll just say, please just run through me the energy of trust.
Yeah.
Like run through my body,
I love that.
through this nervous system, the energy of trust. Because in that trust, it's like there's a knowingness. There's a knowing that I have, and it's like, oh, I have that within me.
Yeah.
And when I get disconnected, because again,
Yeah. We will.
That's how
We're
we
human.
are. We're human, and we're gonna keep having life experiences. So like, oh, come back into myself.
Yeah.
That you have that within you. Take the time, be silent. And the work that I've realized is the work I'm always doing is just on me
Yeah.
and my energetic field and what frequency am I running, because that's also attracting
Yeah.
my tribe.
Yep.
You know, we have this over, and I know you and I've talked a lot about this before, about that relationship with being and doing.
Yeah.
And really, we're just here to be. And our actions are in alignment with who we are as being, then become the doing.
Yes.
And so I also am trying to come online every day to go, okay, where am I supposed to go? Who am I
Yeah.
supposed to be? And who am I
It's
supposed
a-
to be interacting
It's
with?
a natural byproduct. You know, the doing becomes natural when the being is dialed in.
Well, yeah.
You know, it's just, you don't have to wonder or, you know, debate. Should I be doing this or should I be doing that? Should I be calling this person? Should I be calling that person? You know, once you're in that place, it's the knowing is there. And then the doing, you know,
just
acting.
flows out of it.
Yeah.
It's just
Acting on the knowing.
Well, and what ease comes with that. Like there's also an element
Yeah.
that I know we're supposed to have in this life
Yeah.
of there's supposed to be an ease. And that doesn't mean there's not supposed to be learning or friction or
Challenges. Yeah.
but where, oh, like I think of today, like it's felt easy because
Yeah.
I felt in alignment with
Yeah.
myself.
Right.
And I know you do a great job of really tapping in or bringing yourself
Yeah.
into that. And I think the other thing I think we're always working here to do is create balance. Like the universe
Right.
is here, like we're
Yeah.
trying to balance. We're trying to balance the energies. We're trying to balance
Yes.
the masculine and the feminine.
Right.
I always love you. You're like, I'm going to go home and I'm going to take a little rest. And that's very feminine. And I love that. And we need more of that balancing of our energies,
Right.
where it's like we want to override and be very masculine and do and accomplish. I think more specifically, I think that might be a US thing, but
Right.
you know, I think how do we create that balance? Because we
Right.
are that at the
Yeah.
core of our cell that came in here and fused together and started to build. There's the structure that keeps the cell's shape that's masculine, and then
Right.
it has the reproductive element that's going to help it multiply.
Yeah.
That's the feminine. And so we're in a perfect harmony and perfect balance. And how do we come into that and allow that grace
Right.
that's both?
Yes.
Because we also are fighting, I think, that natural intelligence going on through whether it's our societal structures,
Right.
the way we're taught to work, a multitude of things that we could go on and on and on about that are keeping us out of that harmony and balance that we're here to really strive and
Yeah.
find.
Yeah.
As a being.
I think that is as spiritual eternal beings, I believe that is supposed to be our experience here. And it's just been convoluted and complicated, and you know, because human nature is going to take over for a lot of people, and that creates these dynamics of, you know, things that aren't favorable for being able to step aside and tap into, yourself.
Yeah. It's like there is a divinity. Like when I think of like,
Yeah.
why are we having this conversation? Why do I want to have
Yeah.
this conversation or voice in the world, is for us to remember how divine we are.
Absolutely.
You know, we're in a fight for our divinity as a human race.
Yes.
Like there's no computer that's ever going to be designed as amazing as we are as human
Right.
beings.
Right.
Like I remember, and I'm going to butcher his name, but his name's Greg. His last name starts with a B. But just listening to some of his lectures and, you know, learning what our DNA spells in every ancient language, when you use a periodic table based on the elemental structure that creates us.
Yeah.
And it spells God eternal within the body. And
Incredible.
It's like, you know, I'm 44 years old
Yeah.
and learning. I've always, you know, it's like, oh, your body's your temple and
Right.
all these, you're divine. But like when you really know that's how divine we are, and there's all these forces that are trying to have us
Yes.
forget that.
Yes.
It's like we are here to remember that.
Right.
And I want to help people. And that's why I think it's so important to highlight you that want to help people step back
Yeah.
into that natural. It's our
Absolutely.
natural way of being.
It is. Yeah.
Which is odd.
Right.
Because with everything
With all
else,
of the conditioning that, you know, that's been going on since truly the beginning of time, you know?
pretty much.
I mean, there's not an era in history where I think anyone has gotten away unscathed from some kind of, you know, conditioning, learning, things that don't serve us individually as the beings that we are.
Yeah. And we're here to tap back into that.
Yeah.
And what would our society and world be like if we remembered that?
Incredible.
It's the utopia. It's
Yeah.
that nirvana.
Yep.
It's those states of being that,
Right.
you know, Buddha, they talk about.
Yeah.
Is their real remembering.
Right.
And so Michelle's work is so incredibly important.
Thank you.
Thank you for stepping in.
Well, and I just have to say, you know, how much I appreciate your friendship and mentorship and teaching me, because you have taught me so many things and so many tools to, you know, just get to the next place I need to be, and to really be the best me I can be. And so I appreciate you and your tutelage.
Thank you. I think I humbly accept it. You know, that's, I've had to really step into that's my role, and not as Erin in an egoic way, but just I
Yeah.
need to be a vessel for the knowledge
Right.
and the remembrance and the returning to
Yes.
our divinity. And I want to bring conscious, like-minded
Yes.
business to the forefront,
Right.
because I think we are going to change the world. I think there
Absolutely.
will be a pivotal moment where people are waking up and they're going to know, like, this, we feel the dissonance. So it's like when you feel that dissonance, you have to tap back in and you have to go to people that you feel the resonance with.
Yeah.
There is a sense of resonance that we all know and feel.
Right.
And we feel that in every aspect
Right.
of our lives, because
Yes.
everything is energy. So
Yep.
when you're out somewhere and you're like, oh, this feels awkward and weird, it's like, well, that's because it's awkward and weird,
Right.
folks. Like, that's just how it is. Like, and we need to bring that consciousness into service
Yeah.
and how we elevate. And there's infinite abundance for all of us to be wealthy
Yes.
and do all the magical
Yep.
things we're supposed to do. And we have to break out all those
Yeah.
societal constructs of how we think it's supposed to be done,
Yeah.
and to activate that. And so I think your work stepping in as a coach
Yeah.
with, you know, functional holistic medicine,
Yep.
working with the body,
Yes.
because our body is our vessel
Exactly.
on this plane.
Yes.
And we don't get to detach from it.
Nope.
We get to love it. And I've been on a long journey. That's probably a whole nother podcast you and I could do, of just coming back into loving
Yes.
our body and the vessel, and what that
Right.
is and who that is and all of those things.
Right.
And you just bring such important work into the world, and
Thank you.
are
Thank
like
you.
doing amazing things. If you want to learn more about Michelle, I'll have links in the show notes for you. You can find her on Instagram, The Shift Within.
It's at Find the Shift Within.
Okay.
The Shift Within was taken.
Okay, so I'll link that in the notes too. But her work is amazing, and she has shifted my life. She's transformed me as a human being. I would not be who I am in this moment, or even have stepped into
Amen.
this
Me too.
without you. And
Me too.
like for me, it's a community. It's
Yeah.
not a. It's always an and, it's an add
Yes.
to, and I am like in this add to of how do we activate and rise together
Yeah.
because we're transforming
Together.
our conscious. So
Yeah.
we have a lot of exciting things coming too that Michelle
Yes.
and I will be working on.
I
So
love it.
stay tuned for that if you ever want to go on a retreat and really spend a weekend immersed with she and I.
Yes.
Her way more functional in food and the body, and I just like to hold space and help people activate
I love
and
it.
bring out their
And
gifts.
you do.
And so there's so much coming. Like for me, this is just the tipping point, but my whole goal is to
Oh, yeah.
activate this planet into being the Harry
love that.
Potters of their lives.
Yes.
And that you don't have to hide your gifts and only do it at Hogwarts. And
Yeah.
You have to do it out with the muggles in the world. But I want to just activate and bring that forth. And so, Michelle, thank you so much for just
Thank you.
number one, for being my friend.
Thank you.
For loving me and being on this
I
journey.
do. Yes.
Because when we say we can't do it without certain people, I have a distinctive recognition
Yes.
of there's people you just can't do this life without,
I
and you're
agree.
one of
You
those.
too.
So
You too.
I love you
I
so
love
much.
you. Thank you.
This has been such an honor.
It's been
Thank
fun.
you. Thank you. Thank you.